So far we've learned about standard form and factored form and vertex form. And today we're going to learn how you can convert one form into the other. We're going to start with standard form. Now this diagram talks to us about all the different things we can do here. Standard form, when we have it, we can convert it if you follow these arrows. You can either go straight to vertex form or straight to factored form. That's what this video is going to show us. That's the only thing we're going to worry about in this video. And then in the other videos, we'll talk about switching between the other forms. So if I have standard form, what I want to do is decide, do I want to go to vertex form or factored form? I'm going to do both. So let's start here with vertex form. Remember, in standard form, these three terms, your A term, your B term, and your C term, are going to be put inside your box. Vertex form talks to us about, well, what if we had a perfect square? So we're going to imagine that this was a perfect square up here. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to put my x squared in my top left box. I'm going to take this 8x, remember that's going to have to go into these two boxes here. So what I'm going to have to do is divide that 8 in half, and I'll put 4x here and 4x here. Now before I move on and make my perfect square, I got to figure out what I have so far. So up here, I have x plus 4, and on this side, I have x plus 4. So if this was a perfect square, this bottom right side, I would have 16. But if we look back at our standard form, what I want to have is 12. So in order to go from 16 to 12, what I need to do is I need to take away 4. Now, what that does is that sets up our vertex form. Our vertex form is going to be all this stuff that I have around the outside of my box. It's going to be my x plus 4 squared. That makes the perfect square. But in order to get the 12 that I want, I need to remember to take away the 4 on the side. So that's how we go from standard form to vertex form. If I want to go from standard form to factored form, the process is a little bit different. So remember, to go from standard to factored, I'm looking for factors of A and C multiplied together. So factors of A times C are going to be, I'm looking for factors of, oops, that's hard to read, factors of 12. Okay, and remember, we're going to use a box that looks like this. I'm going to look for factors of 12 that add up to this middle term. So factors of 12 that add up to 8. So let's start by listing my factors of 12. I'm going to have 1 times 12, I'm going to have 2 times 6, and I'm going to have 3 times 4. Now in order for us to be able to factor this, I need those factors to add up to 8. So when I look, 2 times 6, if I add those together, those will give me 8. So now that I know what factors I'm looking at, it's time for us to fill in our box. So again, just like in standard form, my x squared term goes here. I'm going to put my 12 right down there. And then I'm going to take those other two factors that I found, the 2 and the 6, and I'm going to put them one in each box here. I'll have 2x, and I'll have 6x. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the GCF of these terms. So if I look at 2 and 12 right here, the biggest number, the biggest factor they have in common is 2. And if I look at this set of numbers here, x squared and 6x, the biggest factor they have in common is just 1x. So once I have that done, figuring out this set of factors is just a multiplication problem. I'm just going to go back and figure out, well, if this right here is x squared, how do I get x squared? Well, to get x squared, I need to do x times x. That gives me my x squared. And if this number here is 12, and this number here is 2, I need to think about 2 times what is going to give me 12, and that's going to be 6. So those are my factors. And then to write factored form, I'm just going to write the information I have on the top, which is x plus 2, and then the factor I have on the side, which is x plus 6, and that's my factored form.